Hey y'all, how are y'all today? Bringing out the mic today. We're gonna get really good today. First off, where is my notebook? I kind of need that for today's video. Give me 1 second. I found it. I got this notebook from Target and I really love it. It reminds me of my sisters. That's why I got it. Because in my family, I have two older sisters. There's me, and then I have a younger brother. And so, I just thought it fit us perfectly. I'll show a picture of us like right now. But this is so the one in the middle, the darker skin one with the very flourishing afro. I would say that's my middle sister, Sharice. This one right here, caramely type skin, brownish hair. I would say that's me. And then the lighter skin one with the bun, I would say that's my eldest sister, Catrice, because she is the lighter one. She didn't believe that she was. She was like, "No, me and you are the same color." I'm like, "Catrice, no, no, I'm obviously chocolate woman. Like, come on now." um, I'm not sick, y'all. It's just the weather keeps flipping back and forth in Texas, so my allergies are not doing too well. But today's video, I really wanted to go on to like an episode 3 of my series of my growth because I really feel that it's important to track. That's one of those things that you need to be tracking. And so I started that with my first video in my series. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember what it was called. Self growth, something like that. I don't remember. I have to look back on my channel. It's my own video and I don't even remember what it's called. Um, but so today's episode is gonna basically be me talking about leadership. I think that's been a real big theme in my life lately, as of lately. And in fact, I just came from a conference and I know that in this conference, it was a business conference. I know that in this conference, what I wanted to get out of it was leadership growth. And I wanted to learn more about communication, which will be another video, but so I'm not going to get too much in detail about that. But I wanted to get more into leadership growth. So this conference, I had questions that I asked myself before. So let me pull those up real quick. Okay. So pre-session, because we had multiple sessions, we had 5 sessions over the course of 3 days, Friday to Sunday. So the first question, obviously, I asked myself, what do I want from conference? And what I had said was, I want to study leaders, see where I'm at currently, see how I can keep growing, and yeah, just see how I can keep growing. So see where I'm at currently, study the leaders, and see how I can keep growing and become a better leader. Because if I was to rate, I don't know if y'all have read many John Maxwell books, or just business books in general. I think it was John Maxwell that talks about rating yourself on the leadership scale. Or that may have been a podcast I was listening to. It was definitely a podcast. So I rated myself on the leadership scale, and I really only saw myself as like, not like, I'm trying to get that word out of likes, and ands. And I don't mean like, oh my gosh, there we go again. See, by the time this video is over, I want y'all to count how many times I say like, and and. And when I'm saying and, I mean as a placeholder, not to say this and that. I mean to say it as if I use it as a placeholder. So if I'm transitioning from the next sentence to the next, from one sentence to the next, saying and, those type of ands, not the this and that type of ands. So by the end of this video, tell me how many times I've said like, and ands. I need accountability here. Let's be each other's accountability partner. So back to what I was saying though. I rated myself in the 3-ish department. And what I've learned from that podcast that I was listening to, reading John Maxwell books, listening to John Maxwell, is that the speed of the group cannot exceed the speed of the leader. As well as, if you are a 3 in leadership, the only type of people you can lead are people who are a 3 and below in leadership. You can never lead people who are above you in leadership because they're going to see right through you. So I knew from there that I needed to intentionally start growing my leadership skills because I want to lead over hundreds of thousands of people, not like a presidential thing. I don't want to do that. That's not my passion. I mean, in like business or spiritually, I want to lead hundreds of thousands of people and be a coach or a mentor or a friend, stuff like that. And so I realized that I needed to take my leadership skills from down here to up there. And so that's what I've been intentionally doing. And John Maxwell talks about it a lot, about not accidentally growing as a leader, but intentionally growing as a leader. And so with that being said, I started my journey, which was the first episode that y'all saw. That was my first episode. It's my first start to my journey. I mean, I had started before that, but that was my first time putting it out into the public, really. So from this conference, studying the leaders, where I'm at, where I want to be currently. And the crazy thing is now that I'm intentionally starting to grow as a leader, it seems like things are more difficult than usual. Because my whole life, I've always been told that I was a good leader. And a lot of times when I was younger, I'd always get put in leadership positions and I would be fighting it. I would fight to the death. I'm like, I'm not doing it. Don't try to put me. When I was graduating from my black belt, I legit cried to my Hanshi. Hanshi is basically, he's the leader of the dojo, of the karate studio dojo. He is, he's the owner of that dojo. But I cried to Hanshi and I was like, Hanshi, I don't think I'm ready. And he was like, why don't you think you're ready? I was like, because I'm going to have to be teaching children and they're going to be looking up to me. And I don't think that I'm good enough to do that. And I was just crying. And he just sat down and talked with me. And he was like, and the whole time I was in karate, they would push me to do more than what I thought I was capable of. They were always pushing me to the next level. When I was a freaking yellow belt, they were pushing me to fight against purple belts because, for one, in my age group, I didn't have anybody in my category because my age, and so I had to go to the next I had to go to the next rank to fight because they had people in my age group, and so they would make me fight against them. And when I first started, I was nervous because I was like, why are y'all making me fight against them? That's not fair. I'm a yellow belt. What the heck? And it doesn't make any sense. I'm a yellow belt and y'all are making me fight purple belts. But I mean, I ended up winning those matches, which which is great. built character. But is what the point that I'm making is that my whole life is that people have been pushing me to be in leadership positions in the army. I fought it. I really did. They wanted to make me a team leader, and I was like, absolutely not. I went up to my team leader, my squad leader, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna be a team leader. I was like, get somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it, because not me, not little old me. I ended up doing it though, and I ended up making a good impact on the soldiers that I did have under me. And I did end up medically retiring, so I wasn't able to have the type of impact that I wanted to when I originally just started getting comfortable in that. But I think about it a lot. I'm like, man, I could have, if I would have been comfortable in my leadership, I could have given them so much more. But I also think it was kind of bad timing because I was transitioning out of the army. So yeah, That's what I asked myself. A few questions that I asked myself as well is, who is the most impactful speaker to me? Who did I learn from the most? I think there's a difference. There can be somebody who impacted you the most, and then there can be somebody that you learn the most from. I asked myself, how will I move forward from this conference? And then the last question I asked myself was, how has this conference made me grow? And you may think, that's 3 days of a conference. How can that make you grow? It can make you grow. There was so much that I realized in 3 days. There was so much that had happened in 3 days. And it may not seem like a big deal to other people, but my mind went into conference in the mindset of a growth mindset, in the mindset of reflecting. So it's like every single situation I was reflecting on it. And so I took down a few points that I learned as a leader from this conference, and I just wanted to share those with y'all. That's what this video is going to be about, is me sharing what I learned as a growing leader from this conference. Now, some of this stuff y'all may not understand because you may not be in a business mindset, or it just may not be applicable. However the heck you pronounce that word. Don't y'all start judging me, okay? All right. I'm doing the best I can here. All right. My communication episode is in 4 weeks from now. All right. We're still working on that. So, before I get into that, no, I'll tell y'all that story on the last one. That's my 12th one. So I'm going to speed through this list. Maybe talk about a little of them because I don't know how long this video is right now because I keep going on tangents, which I'm very sorry. But if y'all like me, y'all watch it all the way through. Or you could just, speed it up and watch it. That's what I do. I never watch a YouTube video in real time speed. My brain doesn't have time for that. So, which is probably why I need to learn patience. So the first thing that I learned as a growing leader at this conference was the respect that I give leadership ladies, or ladies in leadership positions, ladies who are really high in their leadership roles, is the respect that the people underneath me will give me, or the people that I'm trying to lead will give me. So it seems like a very common trend. I'm sorry, y'all. I hope y'all don't hear that. That sounds so weird. It seems like a common trend of, and I've noticed this at the conference, is that when the men are speaking, it was like everybody's engaged. Now you have some of those men that are just like, okay, I'm gonna need you to pick up speed or something. But for the most part, when the men were speaking, everybody was engaged. They were linked in. Their eyes were focused, And then as soon as the ladies start speaking, and this could be a killer lady, like she's a good speaker. She flows like a butterfly, stings like a bee with her words, And when it was their turn to speak, I would see a lot of men and women not paying attention, not getting up to listen. And growing up, I've always not looked at women other than my mom, the women in my life. So like mom, grandma, aunties, sisters. Other than those women, when it came to other women, I legit did not look at them as in a respectful manner. I was a very tomboyish girl, not in the sense of me being confused with my gender, because I didn't even know that was a thing when I was younger. I knew I was a woman, but I was a very masculine woman when I was younger, and I'm still learning how to become more feminine and stuff. And so when it came to other women, I was definitely misogynistic. I would say I was definitely misogynistic. Which I'm saying that now. I can say that now, but back then I didn't even know what misogyny was again. So yeah, very misogynistic against women, which is weird because I'm a woman myself. But it's like I did not care for women, which it has nothing to do with my childhood. My mom is awesome. My mom is amazing. Killer. Don't mess with her because it'll be on sight. That woman is a daffodil. All right. She is a flower. And if anybody ever messes with her, it's legit. It's on sight. I'm not going to lie. I'm honestly still trying to figure out where all this comes from for me, because I know they say that when you get older, you don't remember everything from your childhood. A lot of it goes to your subconscious, or I mean, some of it you just got rid of in your mind. And so I feel like maybe some things, events happen, and it was so long ago that I just kind of buried it. But I'm starting to realize that I'm a woman, and the respect that I show other women is how other women will respect me. And if I was disrespecting women, if I was like just downing them, saying, "Oh, you're weak. Oh, it's not that hard to do this. Da 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 da. Stop being so weak. Stop crying. Oh my gosh. Oh, nobody wants to listen to you. You're not a powerful speaker. Da da da. You know, blase blase." And I realized that if I'm like that towards other women, especially when they've earned their way to the top, that's how other women are going to be towards me. That's how other men are going to be towards me as a woman. And I don't want that. I want people to see me. I want people to respect me as a Margaret Thatcher. I want people to respect me as a Maya Angelou. I want people to respect me. I'm not really a fan of her, but as a Oprah Winfrey, you know? And so, or I want people to respect me as a Joan of Arc. You know what I mean? Men and women. So I'm learning to respect women in those roles, and to not be misogynistic anymore. So the second point that I learned is this has to do with the women again. The way I judge women, I have to remember I'm a woman too. So I guess my whole life I know I'm a woman, but I thought I was above the rules of when it came to women, which I'm not saying like rules of, oh, you gotta crush your legs. I mean, like, when it came to certain ways I judged women, I didn't hold myself to that same standard. And I, it caused me to not like women or not want to build relationships with them. And I know a lot of us women understand that it's so much, sometimes it's easier to build a relationship with the male. The only thing is when you're building a relationship with the male, it can almost never stay platonic. At some point, they're going to freaking text you and be like, I got feelings for you. And you're just like, well, dang, you just ruined the whole relationship. And with women, it's just, oh my gosh, it's so much more. Like, it always is. It can get very messy depending on who your crowd is, which that's a learning process, is being able to choose who your crowd is. And so I would prejudge women. I'd be like, oh no, they're too preppy. Oh, they're too prissy. Oh, they're weak. Oh, they're too emotional. Oh, they're too attached. And I would just judge women, but I would not. And I would just try so hard to be detached from the nature of women, that nature of nurture and kindness, which I'm not saying that all women have to be that way. But if that seems like something you're running away from, you probably you probably need to be making these videos too. Oh my gosh, my foot's starting to fall asleep. So then the third thing I've learned is you have to have someone's trust, and they have to know you care for them before you try to correct them. So because we were in a business setting, there are people who are newer, and we have people coming from all types of backgrounds. It's like the military. You got people coming from the projects, the trenches, the rich side of town, the middle class, single homes, single dad homes, two-parent household, different types of backgrounds. And so a lot of these people don't know how to act business professional because they've never seen that in their life. And so then you'll have people that try to correct them. And the issue with, they're not wrong in a sense of trying to correct them because they only want them to be better and grow. The issue is that you cannot correct somebody who you don't have a relationship with. You cannot correct somebody who they don't know that you care for them. That's like as that's as if a random stranger was to come up to you and tell you to take off that crop top because you shouldn't be showing your belly. What sense does that make? You don't know this person, you don't know their intentions, so why would you listen to them? Who are they to tell you anything, right? So I've come to learn that I have to build those relationships first. I have to show them that I care for them first before I can start correcting them, especially because if I'm building that relationship, I know my legs are all spread. My feet are falling asleep. um, if I build those relationships and they know that I care for them, they'll probably follow me to the end of the earth. They'll probably, especially because they like to say leadership is spelled EXAMPLE. So if I am that example as well, and I have that relationship built with them, and I even have I've even showed them that I care for them. Oh yeah, they're gonna take it because they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this person knows what they're talking about. This person has my best interest at heart. But if you don't have a relationship with somebody, it's like when you go to a church, and which I love my church, so I'm not dogging churches, but I see this a lot in churches. Is a woman? It'll be somebody's first day, right? Female comes in and she's wearing a tight dress, right? And the first thing she's greeted with is that dress is inappropriate. You shouldn't be wearing that dress. When in fact they should be, instead of doing that, they should be welcoming her in, saying, oh, it's so nice to have you today. Because you don't know this woman's background. You don't know where she came from. It's not your job to try to change people. It's your job to put them in the environment and let the environment change them. So, okay. The fourth thing I learned is that, like Jesus, you need to get on somebody's level to relate and to make that change, which that's James 5:13 through 18 and John 8:1 through 11. So when I was thinking of this, it really made me think of how sometimes people will, when they're growing, and they could have just grown one level, but it's like they see everybody else beneath them as like kind of like peasants. And I think that's an humbleness thing, because it made me think of Jesus with the woman that committed adultery. And I just remember in that story, what really stood out to me was that Jesus got on her level. He got on her level. When everybody was criticizing her, Jesus bent down and got on her level. And then he communicated with her. And that just, it really stood out to me, because in life, you'll see people try to lead you, however, and they never see eye to eye with you. And I'm not saying that they should be seeing that what you do is right, but sometimes as a leader, you're going to have to go and pick somebody up. You're going to have to get somebody out the hole. And a lot of people are not willing to get down and dirty with people to help them grow. And that's just what leaders have to do sometimes. Number 5, toxic positivity is a thing. Toxic positivity is a thing. I learned that. And this one I can't talk about all day. Toxic positivity is a thing, man. I feel like I could just leave it at that, because I really don't want to get into the details. But here's what I'll say about that. If you are leading somebody and this person is going through things and you're constantly asking them what's wrong, right? They're not ready to talk to you about those things, right? Or they don't want to talk about those things that they're dealing with in the way that you want them to talk about it, right? And then days go by and they'll try to tell you, they'll just throw in nuggets here and there telling you what's wrong with them. And then you immediately shut it out with positivity. You immediately shut it out. Oh, well, it's happening because you're being negative. Blase, blase, right? For one, you're closing off that relationship. That person's never going to talk to you again. And for two, you're just not validating their feelings, because everybody's feelings are valid because it's their feelings. Which I know we live in a world where everybody's like, oh, F your feelings. But you don't heal if you don't, you can't heal if you don't validate those feelings and then grow from them. And so just shutting every person's feelings out with positivity is not the way to do things. Yes, there are some times where you just need to, it's a mindset where you got to shift to from NMA, which is negative mental attitude, to PMA, which is positive mental attitude. But there are some things that it's just somebody needs to talk about. And if every single time they try to talk to you about it and you just shut it out with positivity, you've lost that trust. You've lost that relationship. Number 6, correct in private, one-on-one. Never, never. I don't care what the situation is. Never. Teachers, parents, never. Leaders, coaches, mentors, therapists, never correct somebody in public. I mean, you don't have to be a Christian, but the Bible talks about this, and for good reason. Because the only reason somebody would be correcting somebody in public is just to make a fool of that person. But in reality, you're making a fool of yourself as well. If you correct somebody in private, there's a respect level there. You respect that person, they'll respect you a lot more than if you were to correct them in public. You don't need the whole world to be seeing their issues. And if you are one of those people where you say, oh, no, I got to correct them in public, they got to know. No. That's not the way to do it, baby girl. Absolutely not. And that's all I got to say about that. Number 7. Be the change for the people that I want to lead, that I want my leaders to be to me. So say, for example, you're in an environment where you just don't see your leaders leading you in a certain way that you want to be led. Start being that leader to the people that you're leading, that you want those leaders to be to you. Because you reap what you sow. There's karma, whatever you want to call it. You get what you give, whatever you want to call it. And so eventually you'll be acting as that leader towards others, and maybe your leadership will see that and be like, you know what? Maybe this is how she wants to be led. I mean, it's really as simple as that. 8th thing that I learned is my leadership is not a one size fits all. And I made 2 points about this because it's just double important. Leadership is not a one size fits all. You cannot mass lead people. You can lead people in a mass, but for all those people, it's going to be a different leadership style. It's not going to be the same as the person next to him. You can't copy and paste leadership. You're not going to grow efficient, effective leaders in that way. You're going to grow robots, or you're going to grow non-free thinkers. And that is an issue. If you want leaders, you're not going to have leaders leading everybody the exact same. Now, there are some things that you could do that are the exact same, but conversation wise, right? You can't talk to one person the same as you talk to another. You can't give advice to one person the same way you give advice to the other. And I know you're saying, well, I'm the leader. They should, wow, it's pouring. I know you're saying, like, I'm the leader. They should mold to me because I'm the prize, right? Because I know that's what a lot of y'all are saying. They should be happy to be talking to me. Right, you have the credentials, but a good leader serves others. Think about that. A good leader serves others, and you're not serving anybody by just giving them a one size fits all, by just giving them a generic leadership. just giving them a McDonald's, a McLeadership. That's what I'm gonna call it, McLeadership. You're McLeading. That's a good one. You're McLeading. I like that. That's good. I just can't. We got a McLeader on the loose. But yeah, I'll get more into that because I think I made a second point, which I got into my ninth point. A good leader serves others. John Maxwell talks about it. The Bible talks about it. Philosophers talk about it. A good leader serves others. If you are serving others, you're leading others. Not all the time, but most of the time. Oh my God. My foot was asleep, y'all. And you know how when your foot's asleep, it feels like pins and needles? And I just hit it. That hurt like a butt cheek on a stick. I'm not going to lie. Okay. A good leader serves others. Because if you are leading somebody, you are tending to their needs that they need to grow, which is serving. Servant leadership. I'm pretty sure there's a book on it. Audios, podcasts, whatever you want to call it. It's something that you should study. If you want to be here on the leadership scale, you need to learn how to serve others. Next. And this is what I mean by my continuing. Number 10, you can't lead people how you want to lead them. You have to lead them how they need to be led. I mean, I've already said it. Servant leader for one. And you can't be a McLeader. You need to find out that person's learning style and lead them that way. Because that is, and it may take longer, but in the end, it's more efficient and it'll last longer. It's just, you have to slow down to speed up sometimes. And you may not want to get down to the nitty gritty with these people, because that's what it seems like y'all think of them as when you just want to do a McLeadership, these people. But you got to get down to the nitty gritty with them. You got to figure out what is the best way to make this person flourish and be in alignment with their purpose. So there's that. Number 11 is don't be tempted to do what everyone else does. Stay set apart. For me, it's not the most thing I've struggled with, but it's a pattern that I've noticed in my life is that there are things that I just don't do because I respect myself in a manner where I just don't do it. I don't cuss, right? And so in the Army, when I first joined, a lot of people knew I didn't cuss. And they're like, oh, that's not going to last. You're probably going to be cussing in the next 3 months. And I'm like, no, I don't. It doesn't sound right on me. It doesn't feel right coming out of my mouth. Now, my mind, on the other hand, I'm not going to lie. I'm working on that one. In my mind, it's a sailor up there. But outwardly, I'm not speaking those type of words on people. It's not something I do. And so sometimes it can get tempting because it's like, man, everybody's cussing. It's just a word. It doesn't matter. And to some people, it is just a word. But to me, there's a level of professionalism that I want to keep with myself. I want to stay set apart because the reason why somebody joins one church and not another is because they'll go to that one church and it's just set apart from all the other churches they visited. And so when people talk to me, I want them to see that they're not going to be talking to the same thing that they see all the time. It's not the same. I want them to every time be changed from a conversation they have with me. And that can't happen if I'm just the same as everything else they see in this world. We're called to stay set apart, and that's biblical, but that's even outside biblicalness. Like I want to hold myself to a standard to have that respect, and it just honestly it just doesn't sound right on me. But And this goes to show leadership is spelled EXAMPLE. So if you're going to correct somebody on certain things, you need to make sure that you're corrected on it too. Sweep around your own front porch before you sweep around mine, is all I got to say. And the last one is bamboo grows underground for years before it shoots up above ground. And I know you're saying, what the heck? What does that even mean? So I was talking to this one guy at the conference, and a lot of people keep saying, "Oh my gosh, Cailinn, you're killing it in your business. You're going above and beyond. You're just doing really well." But right now, I don't have anything to show for it. It's like I'm putting in all this work, but there's nothing to show for it right now. But for some reason, people are still gravitating towards me. They're still like, "Oh my gosh, you're killing it! Like, wow! Like, if I could do what you're doing, man." And I'm just like, I don't have any fruit to show for it though. And so this one guy, he came up to me. He's like, "Yeah, you're killing it." I'm like, "But I don't have any fruit to show for it." And he was like, "Do you know how bamboos grow?" And I said, "No, not at all." He's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, really. I don't know how they grow." And he was like, "So bamboos, when they're planted for years, 3, 4 years, I think, they're growing underground and they're rooting and they're just tap rooting, stuff like that. They are just growing underneath ground, and you'll never see any signs of outward growth from that bamboo. And you, from the outside, you're just like, man, freaking bamboo didn't even. It's a gone. It's a goner. Bamboo's not doing too well. And then one day, year 3, year 4, one day, you just start seeing the bamboo sprout. Next month, freaking 6 more inches come out the ground. The month after that, 6 more inches come out the ground. Then it's just like a colony of bamboos, and you're just like, whoa, I thought that bamboo was dead. The point that I'm making is that the point that he made with me is that there may not be any outward growth that you're seeing right now, but all the change that needs to be happening is happening internal. And so when you have that internal growth first, it builds a more stable foundation than if it was to just grow on top and then there's nothing going deep down. My growth is deep down. So by the time you start seeing my outward growth, I ain't going nowhere. I'm here for the long haul. All right. My tree is going to be here for years to come. Years to come. So, yeah, y'all, that's just a few things that I learned in the leadership perspective from conference. If they always change my life, because they always make me see different perspectives, especially when I reflect like this. So that's all I got to say about this video. Still on my growth journey, and I'm glad I get to take y'all with me. Stay healthy, stay happy, and keep on keeping on. Bye.